Good morning. Yep, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on Lou Tube. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. On tap today, I'm going to talk just for a minute or two about the Georgia SAMFORD game, and then I'm going to talk about what is probably Uncle Lou's biggest headache right now. The never-ending debate between Georgia fans, Jacob Eason versus Jake Fromm. Can't believe I have to do this, but I do, and I'm going to, and I'm about to, because I need to, even though I don't want to, but I am to also and as well. On tap for the rest of the week, I did talk with General Valtard and Natty Back Steve. Natty Back Steve is safe and sound. I got a lot of messages over the last couple of days with people worried about Natty Back Steve down in that hurricane. He's fine. He did lose his roadside fireworks stand. I'm sure he'll talk to you about that later in the week, but they will both be here and available for a video. That's going to be either tomorrow or Thursday. A lot of people pointed out in yesterday's video that I did not mention the South Carolina and Kentucky game. That is because I'm doing a separate video on that game this week. And probably going to do a video on Clemson Louisville, or at least squeeze that in somewhere. And a couple other things. But anyway, that's what's on tap for this week. But let's get started with today's video. All right, my Georgia Bulldogs have SAMFORD this week at home. Another night game, third night game in a row. The fans are loving this after all those noon games we got stuck with last year. But anyway, playing SAMFORD. I think they're the Bulldogs too, aren't they? SAMFORD Bulldogs. We play the Bulldogs next week too, Mississippi State. But anyway, Georgia versus SAMFORD this week. And look, miss me with all the Nicholls State comments and stuff like that. Okay, you sound like a fool. I mean, you're an idiot, honestly. Now look, I'll admit, I'll openly admit, I'll be honest with you. That Nicholls State win last year, probably the most embarrassing win for UGA in a long, long time. Key word though, win. I mean, it's not like we lost at home to Wyoming like Tennessee did, but maybe that's none of my business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I mean, it's not like we lost at home to the Citadel like South Carolina did, but maybe that's none of my business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I mean, it's not like we lost at home to Louisiana Monroe like Alabama did with Nick Saban, but maybe that's none of my business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I mean, it's not like we're Auburn, where we went a whole season 3 or 4 years ago without winning a single SEC game, but maybe that's none of my business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I mean, it's not like we're Florida, winning 4 games, going 4-8, and losing at home to Georgia Southern. That might not be any of my business, though.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Yeah, so miss me with all that. Look, that's not happening, okay? I don't have any excuses for what happened last year against Nicholls State. I've been over that last year. So miss me with all that. SAMFORD doesn't have a chance in this game. We're going to come out and dominate this game from start to finish. The score is going to be somewhere in the 40-point range for UGA to the single-digit range for SAMFORD. I might give them 13 or 14. We'll see. Depends how much garbage time the backup defense gets. Let's be real. Our defense is lights out, top 5 in the country. SAMFORD's not going to be scoring a lot of points against that. So, as far as what I want to see in this game, it would be nice to see Jake Fromm. Fromm, does that make y'all happy? And I'm going back to calling him Fromm now. But anyway, it would be nice to see Jake Fromm throw for over 200 yards, something we've yet to see. More on that in a minute. The biggest thing, no injuries, please, in this game. I mean, that goes without saying. Really, I could say that for every game. But a game like this is all, that's always my biggest concern, not winning or losing the game, but potentially losing a player. Offensive line needs some work. I don't know how much work can they really get against SAMFORD. Find out this weekend, but they do need to improve. Be nice to get some younger guys in. Where's Jeremiah Holloman been? I thought we'd see more of him this year at wide receiver, maybe even some Mark Webb. Maybe we'll get to see him this week. I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, I mean, Samford, it is what it is. A filler game on the schedule before we head into SEC play next week. But the game will not be close. Now, Jacob Eason, Jake Fromm. Two really good quarterbacks. I mean, what else can you say? There are a lot of teams, Florida, I'm looking at you in particular, that would love to have this problem. I'm just tired of hearing it, personally. Ever since Jake Fromm committed, there's been a certain segment of the UGA fan base that have been hanging from this dude's short and curlies like something I've never seen before. Part of it is your typical, casual fan who doesn't really understand anything about football, who always just loves the backup quarterback. Backup quarterback's always one of the favorite people, certain fans' favorite people on the team. Defense gives up a botched play or scoring drive or something. Oh, should have had the backup quarterback in. I mean, they don't know what they're talking about. There's been some of that, and I'm used to that. Then you got another segment of the fan base who think Jake Fromm is the next Tom Brady just because they saw him play in high school. He played high school somewhere near them. They went and saw him, and so he's automatically the greatest thing ever. And look, I'm not knocking Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm, you could not have asked anything more from this kid than what we've got the last 2 weeks. Nothing more. The guy has been the backup at UGA since he got there in January. No one with any sense at all ever thought he had a chance of starting. Everyone knew it was going to be Eason's team this year. Eason goes down in the first few minutes of the first game. They have to drag Fromm off the bench, throw him in. You couldn't have asked for anything more from this guy. We're 2-0. To win at Notre Dame, listen, I'm not going to get into the whole thing about Notre Dame being 4-8 last year other than to say this. You can't spend the last 2 weeks telling Uncle Lou how bad Notre Dame is going to beat UGA. And then UGA goes up there and gets a win on the road at night in Notre Dame with a first-time starter, true freshman quarterback. And then come at me with they only won 4 games last year, Lou. They only won 4. This isn't last year. Okay? And that's besides the point. You done spend all summer telling me Notre Dame's gonna beat the hell out of Georgia. We go up there and win as an underdog on the road at night, prime time, with a first-time true freshman starter at quarterback, and they won 4 games last year. Okay, wake me up if they win 4 games this year. That's not happening. They're going to win way more games than that this year. But anyway, I don't forgot what I was talking about. But anyway, oh yeah, Jake Fromm. You couldn't have asked anything more from this guy. I mean, the guy has come in, he's done what he's supposed to do. He's looked shaky at times, but who wouldn't? I'm not knocking this guy at all. But you got fans now that think Jacob Eason should just transfer or find a comfy spot on the bench and stay there. They want Fromm to start forever. Listen, I'm not one of these people that think just because somebody gets injured, their position is automatically saved for them. Until they come back. You have some people that say, I don't think a guy should lose his starting position due to injury. I don't necessarily agree with that. I understand the sentiment. Is it fair that would happen? No, it's not. But some people are gamers, so you might think somebody is better in practice, right? So they get the starting position. They get hurt. The backup comes in at whatever position we're talking about here. and the backup is just miles ahead and miles better of the starter, then I say leave the kid in, leave that particular person in. That's not the case with Jake Fromm and Jacob Eason. It's just not. I mean, I went back and looked, okay? The first 2 games of last season versus the first 2 games of this season. And it's pretty much apples to apples, okay? Fromm didn't start the first game, but he played the majority of it. Last year, Eason didn't start the first game, but he played the majority of it. Eason also didn't play all of the second game, but he played the majority of it, whereas Fromm played the entire second game. Fromm has 280 yards passing in those 2 games. Jacob Eason had about 340. Okay? And then you see these comments, well, Jake Fromm, the offense just seems to respond more to Jake Fromm. Well, we scored more points in our first 2 games last year than we've scored in our first 2 games this year. So not sure what sort of offensive response you're seeing there. Jake Fromm, 2 turnovers, less yards, lower completion percentage through 2 games than Jacob Eason had last year. So my point is, does that mean Jake Fromm is doing bad? No, it doesn't. But in order for a backup to take the starter's position due to injury like that, the backup's got to come in and just be lights out, in my opinion. If it's basically the same or slightly worse than what your starter was giving you, then why would the starter then lose his job? I just don't see that happening. I don't see that happening at all. He's not lighting it up. He's doing a good job. I am not knocking Jake Fromm at all. We're so lucky we have him. 0 chance of winning that game last week with Bryce Ramsey. I don't think anybody's going to argue that point. So thank God we have Jake Fromm. And he's been great. And the good news is, when Eason gets healthy, you can put him in. And if for some reason he has regressed or not progressed or looks law or whatever the knocks you want to put on Jacob Eason, if you see any of that, then you can easily yank him and put Fromm in, because we now know what we're getting with Jake Fromm. So you have a benchmark now to measure Jacob Eason against. And I don't want to hear about the first 5 minutes of the first game of the year and Jacob Eason overthrowing a receiver. I don't want to hear about that. If he gets healthy, let's say week 4 against Mississippi State, comes out and the entire first quarter looks like the entire 2 minutes or whatever that he played against App State, then okay, yes. I'll be the first one to come on here and say the guy hasn't improved. He looks the same as last year. If they want to go with Fromm, let him go with Fromm. I'll be the first one to do it. But I don't think it's fair to judge Eason right now off of the first 2 series of the first game of the year. It's just, that's not the right thing to do. I think the guy deserves a chance, and honestly, he's going to get one. In my opinion, when he's healthy, he will be the starter, not Fromm. UGA has never won the East with a freshman quarterback, okay? If you're a UGA fan, if you're a fan of the G on the side of the helmet, and not just the fan of someone's name on the back of their jersey, then what you should want is for Eason to be your starter, and for Eason to have progressed from last year to this year. That's what you should want. You shouldn't want Jake Fromm to start just because he's from South Georgia. You shouldn't want Jake Fromm to start just because you saw him play in high school. You shouldn't want Jake Fromm to start just because you saw a selfie of him shirtless holding a catfish. Those are not reasons to want Jake Fromm to start, okay? Eason, hopefully, is the guy. He has to be better than next year, because one of the biggest upsides or advantages you get with Eason over Fromm is 1 year of SEC experience. That can't be replaced. No matter how good or bad Jake Fromm is, the experience that Eason has, that can't be matched by Jake Fromm. It just can't. I don't want to hear about how he played in 5A in Georgia, and 5A is really... I don't want to hear about that, okay? If you can point to me the teams in 5A that could beat Missouri, Vanderbilt, or Kentucky, let me know. But you can't compare that. You just sound ridiculous when you do. Not to mention the fact, that's great that Jake Fromm played in that division. He won 1 region game last year, okay? Anyway, I don't want to go down that road, because then it sounds like I'm bashing Jake Fromm, and I'm not. The point is, the best case scenario for UGA if the goal is winning the East, which that should be the goal every single year, the best case scenario is to get Eason healthy and let him play. That's just the best case scenario. If he comes out and he stinks it up, yank him out, put Fromm in, and start over again. That's what you want to do. And I'm going to end with this. Justin Fields, I hope you're not watching this video. If you are, please don't come to UGA. I don't want to hear, I don't think I can stand next offseason if Justin Fields is committed to UGA. There are already entire posts and comment threads on Georgia groups on Facebook dedicated to playing Justin Fields next year. The insanity never stops. Never. It's just ridiculous. I would rather UGA sign some nobody two-star that no one's ever heard about, so we don't have to go through another offseason of how whatever freshman we sign is about to be the next Tom Brady. I can't take it anymore. Anyway, dogs will roll this week without a problem. Yep. Jake Fromm, doing a great job. Couldn't ask any more than what we're getting from you, sir. Couldn't be happier. 2-0, big road win at Notre Dame. Come out this week, take care of business at home against SAMFORD, and then we'll see what happens next week with Eason. Somebody's going to ask me down below for an injury update. I don't know. Since Kirby got to UGA, he's notoriously tight-lipped about injuries, especially when they're not season-ending. So don't expect Kirby to come out and give you a press conference saying that Eason's going to be ready in 2 weeks, or Eason's going to be ready, and that's not going to happen. You'll most likely find out Eason's ready on a Wednesday or a Thursday before whatever game he's ready. I'm hoping that it's Mississippi State. I'm cautiously optimistic that he'll be ready by week 4, home game against Mississippi State. Plenty more on that game next week. Mississippi State's a dangerous team. They got a good quarterback, Nick Fitzgerald. Anyway, plenty of that in the next video is way too long. Have a great day. If you can. I don't know if you can or not.